Have you ever been on a team where everything just clicks? And then another one where it feels like you're constantly struggling? Well, the secret isn't always about strategy or even raw talent. A lot of the time, it's about understanding the people code. And today, we're going to crack that code. We'll explore why these individual differences are so incredibly important for unlocking a team's true potential.
I mean, it's such a simple idea, but it's so powerful. The best companies out there, they get it. They understand that at the end of the day, success isn't just about products or profits. The real magic, the core of it all, is the people. It's about who they are, what they believe in, and the unique way each of them sees the world.
All right, so where do we even begin with this? Well, we start with what is maybe the biggest puzzle any organization faces, getting the right people into the right roles. And believe me, it is so much more complicated than just looking at a resume and checking off a few boxes on a job description. The secret to a great hire, it really starts with a completely different way of thinking. Instead of just asking, hey, does this person have the right skills? The much, much better question is, how is this person actually going to act and react in our specific environment? And the answer to that, well, it's not nearly as straightforward as you'd think. It all comes down to something called the interactionist perspective. It sounds kind of academic, but the idea is simple. Your behavior isn't just about your personality, like some fixed setting. Nope, it's this dynamic dance between who you are and the situation you're in. Think about it. A super creative, risk-taking person could be an absolute rock star at a fast-moving tech startup. But put that same person in a job that's all about strict rules and routine, they'd probably be miserable and not very effective. So this brings us to two really crucial kinds of fit that great companies are always looking for. First, you've got person-job fit. This is the obvious one, right? Do you actually have the skills, the knowledge, the ability to do the job? But honestly, that's just table stakes. The real game changer is person-organization fit. This is deeper. Do your core values, your personality, your goals, do they actually line up with the company's culture? When you get both of these right, that's when you really create the conditions for someone to thrive long-term. Okay, let's peel back the layers here. We're going to dive into the actual building blocks that make each of us tick, that inner blueprint of our personality and our values. So, personality. What is it really? The easiest way to think about it is like your default setting. It's your stable, predictable patterns of feeling, thinking, and acting that just make you, well, you. And for a company, getting a handle on someone's personality is huge. It gives them clues about how that person is probably going to act and feel across all sorts of different situations. A really classic example of this is the whole type A versus type B personality thing. You probably know a type A person. They're the go-getters, super competitive, always seem to have a sense of urgency, like the clock is ticking. They juggle a million things at once. Then you have type B folks who are generally more chilled out, more deliberate. For them, work is just one part of their life, not the whole thing. And get this isn't just some abstract workplace label. These traits can have serious, real-world health consequences. In fact, a major study that followed people for over 8 years found that type A individuals were literally twice as likely to develop heart disease as type B people. Why? Well, it's thought that the constant stress, that feeling of always being on, the intense competitiveness, it just takes a massive toll on your body over time. Okay, but personality is only part of the equation. Our core values, the things we believe are truly important, they might be even more critical. Think about it. When your own personal values line up with the values of the company you work for, everything changes. You're not just there collecting a paycheck anymore. You're working with a real sense of purpose. And that right there is one of the most powerful motivators you can have. All right, now this is where things get really interesting. You can take two people, right? Similar personalities, similar values. You put them in the exact same situation, and they can walk away with two completely different experiences. How on earth is that possible? The answer, in one word, is perception. Perception is the unique lens or filter that we all see the world through. See, we don't just soak up information like a sponge. We're constantly, actively interpreting everything that happens to us based on our own past experiences, our feelings, our needs. And the crazy part is, our perception of something becomes our reality, even if it's totally different from what objectively happened. I mean, you've probably seen this happen. A manager gives two different people the exact same feedback using the exact same words. Employee number one hears it and thinks, great, this is helpful, I know what I need to work on. They feel motivated. Employee number two hears it and thinks, wow, my boss thinks I'm terrible at my job. They feel completely crushed.
Same words, totally different realities, all because of perception. So, what's going on in our brains that causes this? Well, a big piece of the puzzle is explained by something called attribution theory. Basically, our brains are constantly playing detective. Whenever we see someone do something, we automatically try to figure out why. We ask ourselves, did they do that because of who they are, their personality? That's an internal cause. Or did they do that because of the circumstances they were in? That's an external cause. And the answer we come up with, internally or externally, completely changes how we view that person and their actions. Okay, so this has all been really fascinating theory, right? But what about the real world? How do we take all this people science and actually use it to make our workplaces better? Let's talk practical application. One of the absolute most powerful tools we have is emotional intelligence, what people often call EQ. And it's really just the ability to be smart about emotions, both your own and other people's. It's about recognizing them, understanding them, and managing them. And it's all built on these 4 components, starting from the ground up. And you can see here how each step really is the foundation for the one above it. It makes perfect sense, right? You can't really manage your own emotions if you're not even aware of what you're feeling. And there's no way you can manage your relationships with other people if you can't first pick up on their emotional state. It's like climbing a ladder of social skill, one rung at a time. And this is especially critical for anyone in a leadership position. There's a whole field of research on what's called positive leadership. And it shows that really simple things, personally thanking someone, pointing out great work, even just cheering somebody up when they're having a bad day, these things have a huge, measurable impact on a team's morale and energy. And check this out. In today's world, where so many of us are working remotely, this stuff is more important than ever. A recent study actually found that these positive leadership behaviors have an even stronger effect on people who work from home. And it makes sense. When you're physically isolated, those little moments of positive connection from a leader can be a powerful antidote to feeling disconnected. They really boost your energy and sense of belonging. So what does this all boil down to? Here's the bottom line. Understanding the people code isn't just some fuzzy, nice-to-have soft skill. It is the absolute engine of a successful, thriving workplace. When we actually take the time to get what makes each person tick, their personality, their values, how they see the world, we unlock so much potential. Better motivation, better performance, better well-being for everyone. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. How will you try to read the people code at work tomorrow?